All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled, They Are Trying to Replace Heterosexual Israelite Men. The attack on masculinity and the Israelite man continues. Lil Nas X, the Divine Hermaphrodite, and the Divine Clown. Okay. I know it was a lot in that title, but, I had to touch on what this video is about, okay? And, of course, the title is pretty self-explanatory. That's what we're going to go into. And this video is going to feature none other than Mr. Lil Nas X. Okay. So, this month, GQ magazine does their Men of the Year edition, the 26th annual Men of the Year edition. And they chose to put Mr. Lil Nas X on the cover of this particular edition. This is an outrage. Okay? And you brothers should be highly insulted. Okay? They chose a sodomite to be on the cover of the Men of the Year edition. Again, this is a direct attack on heterosexual Israelite men to demonize us. Okay? And it's an attack on masculinity in general. Okay? Now, if you still don't believe me, let's go ahead and let's zoom in to the cover. Let's zoom in here. Okay, so now that we've gotten a better view, let's read our 26th annual Men of the Year issue. Okay, now we see clearly that they chose to put Mr. Lil Nas X on the cover of their Men of the Year issue. Okay, again, this is very vexing. This is vexation of the spirit. Okay. Now let's go down. Let's scroll down just a bit here, and now take a look at this. It also says that he is the Musician of the Year. It says featuring Musician of the Year, Lil Nas X. Again, they're putting emphasis on the music, okay? Because we know the message behind his music, okay? What is it pushing? Homosexuality, okay? To be a sodomite, okay? But again, this is the individual that GQ magazine deemed worthy to grace the cover of this edition, which is the Men of the Year issue. They chose this individual, okay? And if any of you suffer from short-term memory loss, okay, this is the individual whom did a photo shoot as a pregnant male. This is the individual whom in his music video gave a lap dance to the cartoon version of Satan. This is the individual that GQ magazine deemed worthy to be on the cover of the Men of the Year issue. Okay, this is vexation of spirit. Okay, so now let's zoom out and get a clear view of the whole magazine, and let's do a brief evaluation, shall we? So take a look at the color scheme. The color scheme is what? Black and white. Why is that? Because that represents what? The coming together of opposites, okay? Light, dark, good, evil, okay? Male, female, which is a theme in this magazine, this particular issue, and we're going to see that, okay? But that's why they have Lil Nas X here doubled, okay? One version of him is wearing all white with a black tie, of course. And then the other version is wearing all black. Okay. And one seems to be the feminine version of him, and the other seems to be the masculine version of him, right? Because that's what this represents. It represents the coming together of opposites, duality, okay? That's the reason this particular magazine came out in November. November is the 11th month, correct? The number 11 represents duality, okay? So now, what we're going to do, we're going to look at a small portion of the interview that was done for this magazine, okay? And of course, I'm not going to look at the whole interview. We're not going to go over the whole thing because, quite frankly, I can't stomach it, okay? I tried to, but, some of the topics they start going into is sickening, okay? Because the individual that's giving the interview to Lil Nas X, or he's doing the interview with Lil Nas X, he's also a sodomite. Okay, so you can only imagine what they go into in this interview. So we're not going to go over the whole thing. We'll go over maybe the first 2 paragraphs because there's some stuff that's said that we're going to go over and we're going to shed light on, because the role that Lil Nas X plays is much deeper than people think. Okay, like I said, he plays the role of the Divine Hermaphrodite, and he also plays the role of the Divine Clown, or also known as the Sacred Clown. Okay, and we're gonna get into that. Okay, so now let's take a look at this interview briefly. Okay. So now, taking a look at this, right off the bat, you should see what I'm talking about. Lil Nas X plays the role of the Divine Hermaphrodite, okay? The coming together of the masculine principle and the feminine, okay? The divine masculine and the divine feminine coming together. That's why on the right, they have him dressed up as a man. Okay, and of course, he has to have on black and white, which again represents the coming together of opposites, right? So on the left is him again, but dressed up in a dress as a woman. Okay, this represents what? The coming together of opposites, the coming together of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And when that happens, of course, when you look at the left-hand side in Luciferianism, when those two opposing forces come together, it forms what's known as the Divine Hermaphrodite, also known as the Rebus, okay, which is pretty much an entity that's genderless, okay? It's both male and female, okay? This is where you get the concept of the transgender from. That's why they're pushing that so heavily in the times that we're living in. Okay? And I would not be surprised if Lil Nas X turns out to be one of these guys that actually turns into a transformer. Okay? It would not shock me at all. Okay? But anyway, getting into the actual interview, and it reads, Lil Nas X, Montero, Monty, or Nas to the friends he still has, knew before I even arrived at the San Vicente Bungalows in West Hollywood that he was where he was meant to be. No one had to tell him who I was. The universe had informed him. Now, pause right there. When you deal with, these people that say the universe told them this or the universe did that's dealing with Luciferianism, okay? I believe it's the Wiccan religion that uses that, and what that actually means when they say the universe, they're simply talking about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. That's all the universe is when they make that statement, okay? That they're dealing with the divine masculine and the divine feminine, okay? But anyway, it says the universe had informed him as he arrived and saw his lucky numbers 7 and 9, and we're going to get into that, on the license plate of the car in front of him, that his future depended on him being here right now. So keep in mind that he stated that his lucky numbers is 7 and 9. Okay? Keep that in mind. That's very, very important. Okay? So moving forward to the next part of the article, and it reads, his detractors thought he was going to fade away after Old Town Road, and yet Lil Nas X has been, for both hip-hop and pop culture, a destabilizing force, a trickster. Pause. Right there. Okay? The term trickster is just a code name for the divine clown or the sacred clown. Okay? That's who the trickster is. Okay? That's why they made it a point to put that word trickster in parentheses. Okay? Because that's the focal point. They're telling you subliminally one of the roles that Lil Nas X plays is that of the trickster, the sacred clown. Okay? And we're going to get even more in depth into that a little later on. Okay? But continuing on with the article, it says a trickster, if you will, who has changed how we do what we do and who gets to do it forever. Never before has a pop artist who is so far from the powers that be, very interesting choice of words, placed themselves so squarely in the center of those powers. Lil Nas X is reminiscent of Bugs Bunny. Pause. Okay, pause. Bugs Bunny is a figure of a trickster, is he not? Okay, and what else does Bugs Bunny represent? Okay, Bugs Bunny represents what? Going down the rabbit hole. Okay, and that's what Lil Nas X is trying to get all his listeners to do, is to go down the rabbit hole. Okay, or to go down that rabbit hole to accepting something that's against the norm. Okay, I'm going to explain it as we go forward, but that's what that represents. Notice in the movie Space Jam, the first one, okay, when Michael Jordan got to Looney Tune Land, how did he get there? He had to go down the rabbit hole. Okay, he was playing golf. He had to go down the rabbit hole, and you know, when he came to, the first person he saw was who? Bugs Bunny. Okay, that's what that's going into. That's Bugs Bunny represents, you know, one going down that rabbit hole. Okay, and not to get too far off topic, but how did Michael Jordan go down the rabbit hole? He was reeled in by Yosemite Sam, right? Now, this should give more clarity to the series I did about Travis Scott and the Astroworld situation, right? Remember, I said that his music video titled Yosemite represented what? Him going from the physical world to the spiritual world. Well, it was the same issue with Michael Jordan leaving the physical world and going to Looney Tune Land. But look at how he was reeled in. It was Yosemite Sam, okay, that reeled him in. And then when Michael Jordan woke up, the first person he saw was Bugs Bunny. But the point being is now it should give a little more clarity as to why Travis Scott named that song Yosemite and why the video represented what it represented. Okay? But anyway, reading that part again, it says Lil Nas X is reminiscent of Bugs Bunny, of Brer Rabbit, of Papa Legba, of Anansi. Okay, those are all trickster type characters. Okay? Someone who conjures chaos and uses it to command our attention. Okay? they conjure up chaos. Remember that, okay? Because we're going to get into that order out of chaos, okay? And a few things have commanded as much attention as Montero, his first studio album and arguably the most important piece of art produced this year. Give me a break. But anyway, let's get into some information about the sacred clown, okay? And this is actually an article that I found about the sacred clown. And it reads, Sacred clown, ritual or ceremonial figure in various pre-literate and ancient cultures throughout the world, who represents a reversal of the normal order. Pause. This is why in that interview, it was said that Lil Nas X was a trickster type of character because he plays the role of the sacred clown. Why? Because the sacred clown represents the reversal of the normal order. What's the normal order? A man coming together with a woman. Okay, but the reversal of that order would be what? Two men coming together or two women coming together, i.e. homosexuality. Okay, that is the reversal of the normal order. This is the role that Lil Nas X is playing. He is the sacred clown. Okay, let's continue. An opening to the chaos that preceded creation. Again, there's that word chaos. Okay, that's what he's bringing. Okay, there's going to be order out of chaos, anarchy. Okay, especially during New Year festivals. And again, just in the beginning of this month, you had a lunar Samhain, which on the left-hand side represents what? A new beginning, a new year, right? It says the reversal of normality that is the distinguishing mark of the clown relates him to the powerful world that existed before the present one. Wow. The reversal of normality. That's what the sacred clown represents. Okay? He is the face of, reversing what's normal, which is a heterosexual couple. Okay? But continuing on, it says, in certain traditions, clowning is an apotropaic, averting evil ritual, a way of deflecting demonic attention from serious religious activities. In other contexts, it serves as an initiatory ordeal in which the initiate must persevere through the jest and insults hurled at him. So try to keep those key points in remembrance, and let's go to the second article that I found about the sacred clown. And it reads, the main function of a sacred clown is to deflate the ego of power by reminding those in power that they're of their own fallibility. Okay, so to remind them that they can be wrong. Okay, and well, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's continue. It says, while also reminding those who are not in power that power has the potential to corrupt if not balanced with other forces. But let's pause here. I'm not getting ahead of myself. What does this remind us of? Okay. Now, when you look at the superhero Batman, okay, he's a very serious character, very stoic, right? He's probably the most serious and most stoic superhero that there is, to be honest, right? Which would make perfect sense because his number one enemy has always been who? The Joker, right or wrong? The Joker is actually who? The sacred clown, the divine clown. Okay, the people that create these different superhero stories, you better believe that they're Luciferians as well. Okay, most of them. Okay, they understand fully what they're doing. Okay, and the Joker subliminally is supposed to be the sacred clown. Okay, what did we just read about the sacred clown? That the main function of the sacred clown is to deflate the ego of power by reminding those in power of their own fallibility. Okay, and we're going to look at a clip of The Dark Knight when Batman was actually interrogating the Joker, and you're going to see everything that we've read in the first and second article. Okay, but anyway, continuing on. As a matter of fact, let's start again right here. It says, while also reminding those who are not in power that power has the potential to corrupt if not balanced with other forces. What is this talking about? The coming together of opposites. Okay, good and evil coming together. This is why the color scheme for the cover of that GQ magazine, the Men of the Year issue, the color scheme is what? White and black. Okay, they had two versions of Lil Nas X, one wearing white, one wearing black. Okay, that's what that's going into. Okay, and we're going to see the same thing in this clip we're about to watch of The Dark Knight. Okay, but continuing on, it also reads, namely with humor, but sacred clowns don't outrightly deride things. They're not comedians. Okay, per se, though they can be. They are more like tricksters. You see that? They are more like tricksters. That is why they used that word in the interview with Lil Nas X. He's a trickster figure because he plays the role of the sacred clown. Okay? It goes on to say what? Poking holes in things that people take too seriously. Again, this is what Batman represents. Okay? He is a very serious figure, very stoic. So what is the job of the Joker? He's the trickster, the sacred clown. He pokes holes in the things that the Batman believes, that he holds dear to his beliefs. Okay? So how does this apply to Lil Nas X? The message that he's trying to convey is people take sexuality too seriously. Okay, he's the trickster. So he's trying to poke holes in people's beliefs concerning sexuality. You can be whatever you want concerning sexual orientation. That's the message he's trying to convey. Okay, so continuing on with the second paragraph, and it reads, through acts of satire and showy displays of blasphemy, sacred clowns create a cultural dissonance born from their crazy wisdom. Okay, and you're gonna see that when I put on this clip of The Dark Knight. Okay, the Joker actually starts schooling. He starts schooling the Batman on a few things as concerning, his viewpoints, and it would be considered crazy wisdom. Okay, then it goes on to say what? From which anxiety is free to collapse on itself into laughter. Sacred seriousness becomes sacred anxiety, which then becomes sacred laughter. But without the courageous satire of the sacred clown, there will only ever be the overly serious, in which Batman represents, or in Lil Nas X's case, society in general, are overly serious concerning what? Sexuality. It says prescribed state of cultural conditioning. Okay, so what does that let us know? That Lil Nas X is trying to persuade people to believe that their beliefs about sexuality is a prescribed state of cultural conditioning. He's trying to make people believe that they're conditioned to believe those old-fashioned ways about sexuality. And that's just not true. Okay? It's just that some people are still normal. Okay? But anyway, let's take a look at this clip of the Dark Knight, where Batman is actually interrogating the Joker. Okay?
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. He can't feel the neck. See?
You wanted me. Here I am.
I wanted to see what you'd do. And you didn't disappoint. You let 5 people die. Then you let Dent take your place. Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
Where's Dent?
Those mob fools want you gone so they can get back to the way things were. But I know the truth. There's no going back.
Now remember in the first article that we read about the sacred clown, that it said what? That part of the role that the sacred clown plays is to do what? To reverse normality, okay? The order of normality, okay? That's the role of the sacred clown, okay? And right here you see the Joker is saying everybody wants everything to go back to the way it was. But he's saying that's not going to happen. Why? Because he's the sacred clown, okay? And of course, in Lil Nas X's case, okay, he's trying to, change normality. Normality being what? Heterosexual relationships, okay? He's trying to change that norm over to what? Pansexuality, so to speak, okay? People being sodomites, okay?
Forever.
And why do you want to kill me?
I don't want to kill you.
Now remember, the role of the sacred clown is to do what? To poke holes in things that people take too seriously. Now look at this interview thus far. You see how serious the Batman is? He's very, very serious. But look at the Joker. He just bust out laughing, talking about, I don't want to kill you. Okay, he's poking holes in things that people take too seriously. Okay, he's trying to deflate the ego of power. Okay, remember we read that about the sacred clown. He's trying to deflate the power that Batman has for being too serious. Okay, and as we're about to see, he's about to drop that crazy wisdom that we read about. Okay. Let's continue.
Without you, go back to ripping off mob dealers? No, you complete me.
So what does the Joker mean when he says that you complete me? When he says this to the Batman, this represents what? The coming together of opposites. Okay, we read that about the sacred clown as well, right? The Joker and the Batman represent the coming together of opposites, okay? Good and evil. And notice, again, Batman is a serious figure, whereas the Joker, of course, is a clown figure, a trickster, a jokester, okay? The coming together of opposites. All right, let's continue. Oh, and of course, before I forget, going back to the magazine cover, that's why the color scheme was what? White and black, because that represented what? The coming together of opposites. That's what they were displaying with Lil Nas X on the cover of that GQ magazine. Okay? Now, let's continue.
Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be. To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. When they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. See, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke.
Now notice, he said their morals and their code is a bad joke. Now what does the sacred clown represent? Based on what we read in the first article, he represents what? The reversal of normality. Okay, that's why he had to say what? That their morals and their code is a bad joke. Okay, and notice how he's dropping this crazy wisdom on Batman. Remember in the last article we read that one of the attributes of the sacred clown was possessing crazy wisdom. Okay, let's continue.
At the first sign of trouble, they're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
You see that? Crazy wisdom. Okay, and this is one of the attributes of the sacred clown. It's possessing crazy wisdom. Okay, they don't even have to be correct in what they're saying. Okay, but it's still crazy wisdom. Okay, now some of the times these sacred clowns are correct in some of the things that they say. I'll give you an example. A lot of people probably wonder why Dave Chappelle is able to say a lot of the stuff that he says, and they haven't quote unquote done away with him yet. Okay, because believe it or not, Dave Chappelle, he is another figure of a sacred clown. Most comedians are. Okay, and the article that we read, it says that the sacred clowns are not comedians per se, but a lot of times they are. Okay, that's why a lot of comedians can say certain things that other people can't, and they can get away with it. Okay, but anyway, let's continue.
Where's Dent?
You have all these rules, and you think they'll save you.
Now notice he said you have all these rules and you think that they'll save you. Again, taking the seriousness out of the situation. And that's the role of the sacred clown, to take the seriousness out of situations that traditionally are serious. Okay. And remember that Lil Nas X, he's a trickster. He's another figure of a sacred clown. So his job is to take the seriousness out of sexuality. Okay. So people will be more comfortable being whatever they want to be as concerning sexual orientation. Okay, let's continue.
Who's in control? I have one rule.
Oh, then that's the rule you'll have to break to know the truth.
Which is
Now notice the Batman said that he only has one rule. And we know that rule is he does not kill, right? And then the Joker responds by saying what? Well, that's the rule you'll have to break in order to know the truth. Or in other words, to reach a point of enlightenment. That's the esoteric understanding behind that. But anyway, what do we know about the divine clown or the sacred clown, according to the article? One of the jobs of the sacred clown is to do what? To let the people know that power can be corrupted unless it's blended with opposite forces. Okay, and that's what the Joker is trying to get the Batman to do. He's trying to get him to break his one and only rule, which is what? Not killing, right? So he's trying to get the dark side of Batman to blend in with the light side of Batman, okay? His evil version and his good version coming together. That's what the Joker is trying to get the Batman to do. Why? Because the Joker is a sacred clown. Okay, let's continue. Oh, and before I forget, this concept is found in Freemasonry, which is, of course, Luciferianism. You have to walk upon the checkerboard floor. That's what the checkerboard floor represents. Okay, it represents the good and the bad. Okay, the good and the evil, rather. Okay. Before you can reach a point of enlightenment, you have to walk upon the checkerboard floor, meaning what? You have to embrace both the good and the evil versions of yourself. Okay. Both of those versions have to come together before you can walk up the stairway to heaven to reach enlightenment. Okay. That's Freemasonry. And that's the concept that's going on in this scene with the Joker and Batman. Okay. Let's
The
continue.
only sensible way to live in this world is without rules.
And tonight you're gonna break your one rule. I'm considering it.
No, there's only minutes left, so you're gonna have to play my little game if you want to save one of them.
Yeah.
You know, for a while there, I thought you really were, and the way you threw yourself after her. Look at you go! What does Harvey know about you and his little bunny? Where are they? Killing is making a choice. Where are they? Choose between one life or the other. Your friend, the district attorney, or his blushing bride to be. You have nothing to threaten me with.
Now, you see how serious this situation is, and you see how serious the Batman is. But you got this Joker right here. You got this Joker right here. He's laughing hysterically in a situation that's serious, right? Because that's the role of the sacred clown, is to take away the seriousness out of situations that, you know, normally and historically are serious. Okay. That's the role of the sacred clown, right? And that's the role that Lil Nas X is playing. He's taking away the seriousness out of a situation that historically is serious, dealing with sexual orientation. Okay. When you go into the scriptures, you see how serious that is. Okay. You know, homosexuality is a sin that's punishable by death, according to the Holy Scriptures, according to Torah. But he's trying to take the seriousness out of that situation. Okay, let's continue.
With all your strength. Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you where they are. Both of them. And that's the point. You'll have to choose. He's at 250 52nd Street, and she's on Avenue X. That's just it.
Which one you going out?
All right. So now that we have that understanding on the trickster, okay, because remember, the article said that Lil Nas X is a trickster type of character, right? And we know that the trickster is who? The sacred clown, right? So now that we got that understanding about the sacred clown, the trickster, let's go into the next part of the article, where Lil Nas X stated that his favorite numbers, of course, was the number 7 and the number 9. Okay, so let's get some understanding on those numbers, and then we'll bring this video to a close. Okay, so this is dealing with the number 7. Okay, and you know, if you watch my Bad Boys for Life, Mamba for Life series, you should remember this. Okay, because I went over the number 7 in one of those parts. Okay, but anyway, this is dealing with the number 7, and it reads: G, sometimes used in the Freemasonry square and compass logo, is 7 in numerology, and 7th letter of the alphabet, which is the letter G. Okay, G is generally believed to stand for Gnosis. 7 is the chakras in the Kabbalah, and in Hinduism and Buddhism, which is pretty much one of the main religions or beliefs that they adhere to on the left-hand side in Hollywood. Okay, then it says Kabbalah is the foundation of the esoteric knowledge taught in Freemasonry. See? Then it says, therefore, it could be that G equals 7 equals crown, the highest chakra. Okay, so now let's continue on. So scrolling up a bit, this part of the article reads, the number 77 or 77. Do what thou wilt and or Divine Impera, right? And it reads, Aleister Crowley, who was a 33rd degree Mason and a leading member of the Ordo Templi Orientis, believed multiple sevens had magic properties. Now you're starting to see why the number 7 is Lil Nas X's quote-unquote lucky number. Okay, that's what he stated. The number 7 and the number 9 was his lucky numbers, remember? Now it goes on to say what? In book 7-7, Liber Eyes, he outlined the law of the strong, which is do what thou wilt. Do what you will, or in other words, do whatever you want. Now it makes perfect sense why the number 7 is Lil Nas X's lucky number. Okay? Because when dealing with his lifestyle, what is he saying? Do what you want. Do what thou wilt. Okay? Sexual orientation doesn't matter. That's the message that he's trying to give everybody out there subliminally. Okay? Now let's continue. So scrolling up a bit more again, this part of the article says the number 777. Order out of chaos. Now, didn't I tell you that we were going to get to the part about order out of chaos? I told you. Because what? The sacred clown represents what? Order out of chaos, right? Based on what we've read thus far. Okay? The trickster represents order out of chaos. And we already know that Lil Nas X is a trickster type of character, according to the interview with GQ, right? So now if it reads further, however, most believe it is code for order out of chaos, which is 777 in Jewish gematria. So if you go to a gematria calculator, okay, the Jewish gematria calculator, and type in order out of chaos, is going to come up to or come out to a sum total of 777. Okay. So reading further, it says, and which is an important motto for the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Wow. So now that we have that understanding, now let's deal with the number 9. Because remember, he said his lucky numbers is the number 7 and the number 9. Okay? So this is an article from Numerology.com concerning the number 9. And it reads, what is the definition of 9 in numerology? It says, the energy of the number 9 represents completion, but not finality. Think of it more in a cynical sense. It's about the ending of one cycle and the potential it creates for another cycle to begin. Now, what cycle do they want to end? It's the cycle known as heterosexuality. Okay? They want to bring that to an end. That's the cycle they want to come to an end. And they want to bring in what? Pansexuality. Okay? Also, what other cycle do they want to come to an end? That's dealing with masculinity. Okay? That's why everything is catering to the feminine energy. Okay? Everything caters to the woman, the female in this society. Okay? Because that's the cycle that they want to go into. They want to bring an end to the cycle of masculinity and move more towards empowering the woman. Okay? Mother goddess worship. Okay? So the article goes on to say what? The 9 in numerology acts as an usher in the process of transition or transformation. See, I told you. It says guiding and empowering us with its wisdom. And again, remember, the sacred clown is known for what? It's crazy wisdom, right? It says it absorbs answers from a spiritual source, then delivers them to us in the real world. Okay, that's foolishness. All of it is foolishness, but that part really stood out. But anyway, let's continue. So scrolling up a bit more, and it reads the number 9 in tarot and astrology. The 9th tarot card in tarot deck is the Hermit, reflecting the same qualities as the 9 in numerology. This card carries sage-like wisdom. See that? And connection to the divine. What divine? The divine feminine, right? But in astrology, Sagittarius and Aries are the zodiac signs associated with the number 9. Now, Lil Nas X was actually born April 9th, 1999, okay? Making him an Aries, okay? Which makes perfect sense as to why his lucky number, as he states, is the number 9. You see that? I'm telling you, these people's lives are scripted, okay, for the most part, on the left-hand side, okay? It says Sagittarius is the 9th sign in astrology and reflects this number's expansive, philosophical, and open-minded nature. Aries, like the 9, is a fighter, willing to endure any challenge and reap rich rewards. Okay, but I found that interesting, dealing with the number 9 and dealing with the number 7. Okay, just to give a little more insight as to why he stated that those are his lucky numbers. Okay, it's all dealing with Luciferianism. Okay, but anyway, I believe this is a good place to bring this video to an end, right? And again, this is my critique on this particular magazine cover, okay? The madness, okay? And again, the title of this video is They Are Trying to Replace Heterosexual Israelite Men. The attack on masculinity and the Israelite man continues. Lil Nas X, the Divine Hermaphrodite, and the Divine Clown, okay? I know it's a long title, but But yeah, this is just my critique on the situation. Of course, like I said, the name of this channel is King Kaniba Critiques. Okay, so, some of the stuff that I may have said, maybe I'm off. Okay, but, this is my critique. Okay, it's the way I see it from a spiritual vantage point. Okay, but anyway, of course, like always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kwadash. I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. And until next time, Shalom, family.